Hi, I'm Ayandrali Dutta, editor, Times Foodie, and today we have with us Mr. Zorawar Kalra, a name that absolutely needs no introduction when it comes to the culinary F&B business. A restaurateur par excellence who has been the forefront of a lot of new techniques and new innovations that we see in the market today with brands like Farzi, Papaya, Masala Library and many more, and a lineage like Jigs Kalra that he is leading. Welcome, Mr. Kalra.
Pleasure to be here.
You have a surname which is very heavyweight, and with that surname comes a lot of responsibilities and a lot of image that you have to maintain. With a father like Jigs Kalra, how is the whole walk, or how has the whole journey been for you?
You know, having a last name like Kalra is obviously a lot of responsibility, but also a lot of pressure. And it is, you know, a legacy that you have to uphold. The good thing about me is that I don't usually fall under pressure, and pressure actually makes me perform better. So I take that pressure in a very positive sense. I don't think of it as something that's bogging me down or weighing me down. I think of it as something where I have an edge, I perhaps have an advantage, and I want to play to that advantage. But also there's a lot of responsibility. At the end of the day, it's my family name. And my father spent his entire life devoted to his love and passion for his beloved Indian food. And he, in some way, shape or form, passed on the baton to me. So in that sense, metaphorically speaking, he passed on the responsibility to me. And it was his personal crusade to put Indian food on the global palette, to make sure that Indian food was recognized for what it was, arguably the most philosophically deep cuisine on the planet, with a deep culinary philosophy and a history and a variety that is completely unparalleled. I mean, I think we have the most sophisticated cuisine on the planet, and it's up to us as Indians to kind of take it forward. He had that thought originally, and in some way, shape or form, through seeing him and in some way through his actions, it kind of automatically got instilled inside me that I have to do the same. So the reason why I wake up every morning is not just to run this business or to take care of the many families, although that's very important. There are a lot of people that work in our company. It's very important for me to make sure that the lights are on. I make sure that these people are well taken care of. But it's also deeper than that. It's more than just making money or building a company that hopefully one day gets listed. It's about a sense of responsibility towards our great Indian food. And I think that's what he instilled inside me, and that's what I think his legacy should be. And I'm going to make sure that I work tirelessly to ensure I can contribute towards making sure that that legacy lives on.
So, Mr. Kalra, how do you navigate the diverse culinary landscape that we see in the country today and yet create every brand very distinct identity with each other?
Culinary landscape of this country is very well cultivated and very fertile. So there's a lot of possibility, there's a lot of business opportunity, but I think what really excites me is, just this whole thing about the diversity of Indian food. Every few kilometers, the food changes. If you just look at, two states, let's look at Gujarat and Rajasthan. They have more vegetarian variety, complexity, and brilliance than the rest of the planet put together. I mean, just if you look at vegetarian. And if you look at Rajasthan, for example, they've got a great non-veg philosophy of food, and they have a great vegetarian philosophy of food.
Absolutely.
And that's just one state of this great country. So it's so fertile, it's so well cultivated that I think it's up to us restaurateurs to now make sure that we kind of ride the wave. The size of the business compounded annually is growing at a very rapid pace. Every 4 or 5 years, the industry size is doubling. So there's enough demand. The young millennial or the young Gen Z or now the Gen Alpha that soon will be able to spend money in restaurants are people that position experiences and culinary experiences over all other forms of entertainment. Just to put it in perspective, the food business in India is 40 times larger than Bollywood. 40 times. So it's the #1 form of entertainment for Indians. So that's all said and done. So there's a huge scope, there's a huge market, there is great food that we can sell. Regional food is my big love. And I think more and more restaurants are going to now come up with great regional and micro-regional cuisines that are going to push the boundaries even forward and expose people's palates to the great culinary treasures that exist within this country. So I think that's the real excitement. The market exists, there's a beautiful fertile landscape, beautifully already cultivated by our people that were here before us, including like people like my father and the generation before us. And our generation of restaurateurs are taking that flag, holding on to that flag and marching forward. And I think it's very exciting times, and I'm supremely excited about the future of the culinary business and the culinary landscape in this country.
Also, when you talk about the Indian micro cuisines, I guess the new age chefs, they are actually literally the flag bearers. I mean, they're presenting a lot of cuisines that are coming to us and in the forefront, which we have not heard, or maybe it's not there much spoken about. That's great to see. I mean, do you look forward to work with such chefs who can actually bring such things to your plate?
It's the thrill of my life to be able to work with that kind of talent. I mean, the hardest thing to do in the restaurant space is to attract that kind of talent. I've been very lucky to have some great chefs that have worked with us. Many of them still stay with us. Some of them have moved on and accomplished great things, achieved great milestones in their culinary careers. I think that's the real excitement of working with these young chefs that have taken over the baton, so to speak, are enthused about the power of their cuisine and want to propagate it and proliferate it. So great chefs and great restaurateurs. This marriage is a marriage made in heaven, and is, I think, the vehicle through which these regional cuisines and micro regions can be proliferated and brought to the forefront.
So when we think of somebody who's a trendsetter in the F&B industry, one of your name absolutely pops up on the list for us. Having said that, I still remember personally when Farzi opened, I went there for the Parle G cheesecake. Because I'm what was so fancy about how can you convert a Parle G as a cheesecake, and it was such a fascinating thing. And if I see that you literally build up that craze and also the molecular gastronomy in the country, in a way you literally set up how it will be there across, introducing different dishes and all of that. So when we see of trends, how do you, it's a very, I don't know how will you answer, but it's a very, how do you touch that nerve, what will work for us? And maybe what's the worst trend have you seen?
I don't believe in trends because trends are transient. They're here, they're gone. I believe in phenomena. And I think Indian food is a cultural phenomena. It's a global tour de force. And it's up to us as restaurateurs to make sure that we put Indian food on the global palette permanently. So I believe in phenomena, and I think Indian food is one of those cuisines that is soon going to be at the top of the heap of the global culinary totem pole. And that's what really is the excitement. Now, Farzi Cafe is now in 9 countries around the world, and what really excites me is not the fact that these restaurants are there and, you know, it's my brand. It's the fact that Indian food is being recognized along with the other more established cuisines of the world. So I think that's what is the real excitement over here. In terms of the trends that I think come and go, you can, you know, molecular, you said, I believe in innovation, and I think Farzi Cafe was the first, Masala Library and Farzi Cafe were one of the first 2 brands to bring, you know, a true wave of molecular gastronomy to the country. But I think everything has its own life cycle. So if you look at my restaurants now, and many of these restaurants are now over a decade old, we've kind of moved on. The world has moved on. So if molecular gastronomy is used effectively without drama and just unnecessary theatre, then it is a value adder, especially if it enhances a dish. For example, we had a Raj Kachori, where instead of the saunt ki chutney, I used to make a espuma or an air out of the saunt ki chutney and put it over the Raj Kachori, and it would give you the same experience. And suddenly a 200-year-old dish was elevated.
Absolutely.
But beyond a point, it starts being novel. I think molecular is a word that has been bastardized and has been used in an unfortunate sense.
I agree.
In the recent times.
Yes.
So we moved on. We don't use molecular as a buzzword for our restaurants anymore. We believe in advanced technology. We believe in good techniques and marrying of the culinary art and science to perhaps create a new hybrid. I think molecular as a trend is gone. Obviously it was not a phenomenon, otherwise it would have remained. But the marriage of science and art through cool cooking techniques is something that is a phenomena and will always stay.
And when you talk of elevation, I guess you also elevated the humble Maggie with the duck liver and the foie gras and everything. That
when it was still legal.
Exactly.
Suddenly, the country that probably consumes the lowest amount of duck liver in the world banned duck liver. Like, there were maybe about 200 people in the whole country.
Exactly.
Why would you ban something else?
Exactly. There are so many other. I guess
we replaced it with galauti kebab.
I know, and I guess that humble Maggie, nobody knew who it was, like a Pahado wali Maggie. They just got into another elevated platform, and the Maggie must be also feeling, oh, I'm blessed. I'm like there.
The whole idea of Farzi Cafe was nostalgia, was connecting with your childhood memories, was also most importantly.
Why the name Farzi? Okay, I'll cut you here. Why the name Farzi? Like,
it's just a cool name, right? So I'll tell you 2 things. One, it sounded great. Once when I saw it, so this lady who showed it to us, wonderful, talented young, copywriter, she came up with literally, I think, about 30 or 40 names. And she had each name written on a separate piece of paper. So she showed me literally all of the others. So 99%, the last one was Farzi Cafe. And there were about 5-6 of us in the room. And this was a very important initiative for us. It was the first brand that we thought will be going global from our stable.
Right.
So it was naturally very, it was an important decision. And the moment she showed us, she held up that last paper and everybody just gasped. And we immediately, I'm getting goosebumps even now as I talk about it. I'm so, that memory is so steep in my, so sharply embedded in my mind that we saw Farzi Cafe and it immediately resonated. And then when I thought about the concept, which is at that time was a heavy duty theater and drama and molecular. So it was a play on the word illusion. Farzi in Urdu or Hindi means fake, but it could also be a play on the word illusion, where you're getting something that looks different, but when you eat it or when you experience it, it's something different.
Absolutely.
So in a way, it was a play on the word illusion.
Interesting. So when we see you as a visionary, touching the right chord of the market or the industry, how do you make sure that every particular project that you start reaches its particular absolutely peak or reaches its, what do I call it? I would say becomes the talk of the town, let's put it that way.
So I don't think we open every restaurant with the goal of making it the talk of the town. I think we look
but it does.
Thankfully, thank you, God, for that. And my great team. The team is the key, right? The whole idea is to firstly make a product that you yourself would be a frequenter of, right? So when I started Louis Burger with my delivery chain, it was because there was no burger that I would have eaten myself. So I technically built it for myself or for my close friends and family. And I think you have to first be passionate about the product that you're making. If you don't enjoy that, right, then you're probably not going to succeed at it. So the first thing is to figure out something that you love and you think there's a gap in the market. And then you go around building a concept that kind of combines all the various things. So there are a lot of parameters that go into making a successful restaurant. It's not just one, it's probably 10 different things. So you first have to figure out, is there a product market fit? If you're trying to sell in Gujarat a steakhouse, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So you have to sell a product where there is an existing market, otherwise the business will fail. So you have to do something that you love, but you have to be sensible. You have to make sure that you're opening something in a market where there's a demand for it. Because you can't really force anything onto a market. The market will dictate the terms. So it's advisable to kind of do that research. And it's not a 9 to 5, it's a lifestyle choice. So do it not as an extension of your drawing room, do it because you truly believe in it. You're passionate about the food, you're passionate about a certain cuisine, you're passionate about the business, you want to make it your primary form of income. And if you do it for the right reasons, then you'll very heavily and very high chances that you'll succeed.
Since you highlighted Louis Burger, having said that, you are one of those person who transcend from a restaurant to a cloud kitchen. People generally open a cloud kitchen first and then move to a restaurant. How did the pandemic be a reason for cloud kitchen where you started, and how did cloud kitchen as an idea come up? That is when I say you keep on innovating yourself or reinventing yourself.
So it's not, we haven't transitioned or pivoted. We have now 2 verticals and both are touch wood doing very well. So we have a very robust offline restaurant business like the one you're sitting in, and we have a very robust online or virtual restaurant business.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. The whole necessity is the mother of invention bit came into play. So if you spoke to me before March 2020 and you spoke to me about delivery, I would have been very, I would have not enjoyed it. I would have been very unbecoming of it. I would have not said good things about it, and I did not truly believe in it because I wanted to control the entire environment in which I served my guests. Most of my restaurants are experiential restaurants.
Yes.
So they tend to be more about the overall experience, beautiful presentation. All of these things are not easy to do in delivery. Then come the 22nd or 23rd of March when everything shut down, it was a true existential crisis for me. I had this huge cost base. I had a lot of people that had to be paid salaries. I had rents and I had zero revenue. I realized, what if this is something that doesn't end now? What if the COVID continues, it becomes a new way of life? What if this happens again in a few years? We have to be ready, and we can't be in a situation where there's zero revenue and all the cost still sits in the books.
True.
So in the moment the lockdown ended, which I think June or July, whenever it was in 2020, me, my wife and my head R&D chef, we went to my restaurant right nearby, Swan. in the heat, in peak summer, we did a full trials for Louis Burger. I chose Louis Burger because I love burgers, and I thought if I'm going to start delivery, I might as well start with burgers.
Yeah.
So we did the trials, we loved the product, it came about, and then the lockdown ended. So I got busy again with the restaurants. But then a year later, the second COVID hit.
Yes.
Which is the bad one, the Delta. And that was really bad. So just immediately after that COVID, I was in hospital myself. I came out, I said, we got to launch Louis. And we went ahead in July of that year. We launched Louis Burger, and now it's become a sensation. Over 45% of our turnover now comes from delivery, and soon it's going to be more than half. So even though we're going to continue to grow our restaurant business, which we love, I think what the real growth vertical for us will be delivery, and it's we seem to have really excelled at it, because the same ethos that drives our offline business is now driving online. Product quality, real focus on ingredient, all that kind of stuff.
And I must say, you have a great packaging for Louis Burger. Whatever, when it comes home, it doesn't get, the burger doesn't get spoiled or mashed. So you enjoy the burger as like a real burger when you're saying. So that's what.
So the beauty of the Louis Burger bun, especially, it's a homemade brioche bun, is that we designed it with delivery in mind. When we wrap it up, it actually comes home to you even softer, the bun, than had you had it live.
Oh wow.
So it's all a lot of science and a lot of, so this side of business, of the business, is
Was
actually
it new
more
for you?
scientific.
Was it new for you also to understand?
Totally new. Yeah, absolutely. So my whole goal was what? To replicate a restaurant dining experience in your home. How are you going to do that? Physics and chemistry will come into play. You can't fight physics. It is going to become cold. It will become
True.
XYZ, dry, hard, all that. So we worked from a scientific base to ensure that the end result is not eating it live. And if you eat a Louis Burger live, by the way, it's even better, obviously.
Okay.
If you have it fresh off the grill, it's going to be better. But our goal was to replicate as much as possible that experience of having it live in your home.
In your home. So, coming to a little fun part of the interview, where does Zorawar Kalra dine in Delhi, if I have to ask?
Oh my God, so many places. I love dum pukht. My father made dum pukht.
Yes.
In the 5 stars, I love that. I love Bukhara also, but I think Bukhara's table is too hard to get. I love Al Jawahar Nehari. Al Kausar, of course. I love Al Kausar. I love Kareem's. Kareem is the owner of Kareem's. Awaz is a good friend of mine. I also like a lot of street food. There is a very nice place in Gurgaon where Tuesdays I'm vegetarian, so on Tuesday morning I get Nagpal ki chole bhature. So many things. Out of my own restaurants, I like them also. I'm not going to name my own. A lot of off-the-grid places in Gurgaon exist that are really, really good. There is a restaurant called Kuraku in Global Foyer Mall, which is it's a very frequent spot for me and my family, because we like robata, and they serve a great robata, really, really good robata, and a good ramen. And yeah, so there are so many places. I love eating out. My biggest thrill of the whole day is, I'm a Punjabi.
Yes.
So during breakfast, I think of what I'm going to eat for lunch. During lunch, I'm already planning my dinner, and during the dinner, I'm planning next day's breakfast.
I'm sure.
This is a foodie household. This is the trials and tribulations of being born in a foodie household, but I love it.
Now the most controversial question, Delhi or Mumbai when it comes to food?
I think from an Indian regional perspective, Delhi, currently the crop of restaurants in Mumbai are perhaps a notch above.
Yes.
But it keeps changing, right?
Yeah.
I think you can't really say, is the Mumbai palette slightly more experimental? At this point in time, since 2022 onwards, I think yes. Earlier, I think Delhi was just at the same level. I think the quality of ingredient, especially if you look at certain types of dairy products or even red meat, goat, is superior in North India. But the clientele is great in both cities. I think perhaps the Bombay clientele is a little bit more patient.
Yes.
But the Delhi clientele is a little bit more, doesn't look on the right side of the menu, and they spend a little bit more. But I think both cities are great. It's a pleasure and a privilege to serve my fellow Indians in both these cities. I love both cities. I'm a Delhi boy, so I would probably prefer to live here, but I love working in Bombay, and I love the fact that most of my brands actually I started in Bombay despite being a Delhi guy. So that city, Masala Library, Papaya, both brands started first in Mumbai, and it's a city that I love. Delhi I love, it's my home. I was born here. But I think at this point in time, at this particular point in time, Bombay is a notch above in terms of the new restaurants. But I think it's up and down. Sometimes it's Delhi, sometimes it's Bombay.
Okay, 3 things that we don't know about Zorawar Kalra. That's like his guilty pleasure, something that he loves eating. 3 things that we don't know about him.
I am a very good competitive online FPS player.
Okay.
First-person shooter video games. I'm actually very good. During the COVID, I won an international tournament.
Wow.
Because I had nothing else to do. So I was literally playing games 6-7 hours a day, and I became really good at it. I was always good since I was growing up, so you don't lose the hand-eye coordination. So I think I'm very good at that. I'm a big adrenaline junkie. So there was a time when I used to race at the Buddh circuit at least once a month, sometimes even more than that. When I had the opportunity to literally go there, race. We have a car group of car enthusiasts that does that pretty often. So that adrenaline junkie aspect is the second one. The third one, I am a enthusiastic but not good golfer. And I used when I was growing up, I was very good. But now my daughter has taken up the mantle, and she's won a few tournaments.
Wow.
Not major ones.
But still,
But she's 10 years old.
fine.
And,
Why not?
But the goal is that by the time she's a teenager, she is on her way to representing India somewhere.
That's great. So that was Zorawar Kalra for us. Thank you for being a part of Times Foodie. It was great pleasure chatting up with you.
Pleasure
Thank
was all
you.
mine.